Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to see you all on my screen and to be able to be with you for this virtual session. Uh, I don't know how it is where you are here in Brooklyn. We're having a clear, cold winter day. I can see the clothes flapping on the line. I hope when I go out to get them later, they're not frozen. Uh, but it's a fine winter day here, and I hope the same wherever you may be. So I got to say that during Mondo and interview, as I've had a chance to speak a little with some of you, there's been quite a bit of pushback on poor Master Dogen. I had one person say to me that she asked me if I remembered the comic Danny Kaye. If you're my age, I'm sure you remember Danny Kaye, but he was this comic who, one of the very, very talented, but one of the things he could do was he could speak double talk in any language. So he could speak double talk in French, in Italian, in German, and in English. And it would sound just like he was speaking the language, except not a single word made any sense. And she said, if Dogen were alive today, he could be the Danny Kaye of our times. So I'm getting a lot of, this is really hard stuff. I don't get it. Why does he make things so complicated? And I'm really glad to be getting this pushback because in Zen, you should never swallow anything just because it's being fed to you. So the way Dogen looks at it, if your being time is being confused and kind of mad at Dogen, then just that is your being time. And if you're carried to a wonderful place of insight by Dogen, just that is your being time. And neither of those two states is more being time than any of the other. And for Dogen, the real question isn't so much, whether you're an angry demon trying to make sense out of Dogen, or you're enjoying the 16-foot golden body because you've read some golden phrase of Dogen's. For Dogen, the question always is, well, what are you going to do now? Just like Roshi said. How are you going to step forward at this time as your time? What are you going to do? How are you going to practice this? Miyoko Sensei said yesterday that the way she practiced it was she just looked for a line or two that spoke to her, that she could sit with, and that would blossom for her. And I think that's a wonderful method. But the important thing is that you find your own way of approaching these ancient texts, your own way of working with them. Your way will not necessarily be Miyoko Sensei's way or my way, but how will you take a step forward as the person you are in being time? Because I was getting so much pushback on Dogen, I thought I would try to clear up a couple of things. Dogen uses his languages would be difficult for even a Japanese of his time to get, because he's extremely playful with words. So he doesn't use words in a usual way, even for the people of his times. But one thing that always helps me with Dogen is to realize that as poetic and difficult as his language can get, he's really always talking about simple and ordinary things. He's talking about practice. He's talking about how we practice. He's written essays on how to use the toilet, how to cook for the Sangha. How do you practice? And he also is very concerned that we don't get stuck. He talks about zazen a lot. A lot of what he writes refers to zazen, but I think most important, don't get stuck. So what do we mean by stuck? I think in his essay, Being Time, he's really, part of the reason it's so difficult is he's really trying to shake up our stuckness. In a way, what he's talking about is really not that complicated. Looking at your faces on Zoom, I can see exactly what he's talking about, because here we are. Look, I'm looking at about, 20 people on my iPad here. I can scroll and see even more and even more. And all of us are sharing this same iPad screen. You're all appearing on this iPad screen. We are all sharing our being together. And of course, the iPad screen is really the size of the entire universe. In this moment of time, everything appears. You appear, I appear, the sky appear, the clouds, the birds. In this moment of time, we're all being with all our might. We're all just here. It's really very peaceful. We're all interconnected. We're all interconnected moments of being. Very beautiful, very wonderful. So this is what they mean in Zen when they say we're all born from the same lineage. We all share our being at this moment. And then as the saying goes on, although we're born from the same lineage, we don't die from the same lineage. So here I am in Brooklyn. I know there's someone here in Colorado that's looking out the window at a big pile of snow. I'm not. I know some people's legs hurt, some people's legs don't. I know some people are sitting in houses and others in small apartments. Each of our lives is different. Some people have cats, some people don't have cats. Hello. I guess he doesn't like my talk. In any event, so even though we are born of the same lineage, we don't die from the same lineage. In other words, even though we are all equal in being time, some of us are beginners, some of us have been practicing for many years, some of us are young and strong, others of us are more like me. Uh, it all we're all different, so we don't die of the same lineage. And then the master who spoke these words said, if you want to know the last word of Zen, just this is it. Just this. And we tend to be very attached to a phrase like just this, because it points to the loveliness of being. Yes, just this, we're all here. But what Master Dogen points out to us is there is no this. There's no particular this, because being and time are not two different things. So there isn't a lovely place to rest called being, where we're all one in the moment, because being is also time. It's dynamic. It doesn't pause even for a moment. And so as soon as you say we're all here, here is already changed. So Dogen is really, I think, concerned that we don't get stuck with just this, and that we realize that the true place of repose, the true place of peace, the true place of stability is exactly in the messy unfolding of our lives. It's the practice of each moment. It's the practice of sitting when the bell rings. It's the practice of washing the dishes and putting them away. I know at least one person is taking care of grandchildren. So we think that, there's some kind of place of repose, some place of peace called nirvana, that's eternal and timeless. And as soon as we think that, we separate from what is truly timeless, from what is truly nirvana, which, as Dogen Zenji says, is the 12 hours of the day. Think of it as the 12 hours of the day. Ordinary life is precisely nirvana. The place of peace and stability is precisely getting sick, getting well, learning, growing old. All of that is the marvelous mind of nirvana. Don't seek elsewhere. Don't seek for some enlightenment or nirvana outside of the practice of this very moment. We cannot grasp this moment. We cannot grasp thus just this. It goes by way too fast. But we can live it. We can practice it. We can take care of the child. We can wash the dish. When the bell rings, we can assume the zazen posture and sit straight on our cushions. Sit straight in the wonder of our own being time. So the problem that happens when, especially as we in our early years of practice, when we think that enlightenment is somewhere in our future if we just sit enough zazen, is as soon as you set something up outside yourself, outside your own life, some beyond place, you make yourself very small, very inadequate. Oh, well, I can't understand Dogen. I mean, he's very enlightened, or that's what they say about him. No, I'm not smart enough. So this problem came up for the person he quotes uh, in his essay, Master Yaoshan, um, who was a student actually of someone in our lineage, Shito, but Shito couldn't really do anything with him and sent him over to study with Matsu. And Yaoshan said, I've studied Buddhism exhaustively and I still don't really get it. Please, Master, tell me the deep meaning of Bodhidharma coming from the West. And Matsu says, for the time being, have him raise his eyebrows and blink. For the time being, don't have him raise his eyebrows and blink. For the time being, having him raise his eyebrows and blink is right. For the time being, having him raise his eyebrows and blink is not right. And Yaoshan had an opening, and he said, when I was with Shito, I was like a mosquito trying to bite an iron bull. I'm sure all of us can sort of relate to that in our study of the Dharma. You know, we think there's something in Dogen that if we only get, we'll understand this whole crazy practice. Or we think if we just do enough zazen, lightning will strike and, everything will become clear. And as soon as we do that, we're creating an iron bull, enlightenment, mastery, whatever it is you think it is or I think it is. And as soon as you create an iron bull, you feel like a mosquito. Oh, I can never realize what Master Dogen realized. Completely overlooking the fact that our practice just at this moment is Master Dogen's mind. So there was another monk who, or maybe it was Yaoshan, but it's just identified as a monk who went to the national teacher, who was Matsu's teacher, and told him what Matsu said about the eyebrows and eyes. And the national teacher said, oh, well, how do you understand this? And the monk said, everything arises and passes away, but within me is bright awareness. And this bright awareness makes me raise my eyebrows and blink, makes me grow my hair. When I have a headache, I feel the headache. And though my body will pass away and decay, this bright awareness is not subject to arising and decay. And the national teacher said, humph, if you believe that, you're no better than a heretic. Get out of here. So here we go. And we had a monk creating another iron bull, a bright consciousness, creating a self, a bright consciousness that does not change. That's the self that we all think we have one way or another, whether we believe it's our bright consciousness or the thought stream in our head or whatever it is. But how would it be if there were no self? How would it be if the self setting itself out in array was the form of the entire world? Well, then there would be nothing that you could truly call the self. You could say everything is the self, nothing is the self. All of it would be completely beside the point because it had already changed. And there's already this moment waiting to be practiced, this dish waiting to be washed, this child waiting to be picked up. This marvelous mind of nirvana is always available to us, always ready for us to enjoy, appreciate, and to serve. So Dogen very compassionately doesn't want us to set up any old iron balls. And what he says is the eyebrows and eyes are mountains and oceans, because mountains and oceans are eyebrows and eyes. Have him raise his eyebrows is to see the mountains. Have him blink is to understand the oceans. So your being time and the being time of oceans and mountains are not different. You're born of the same lineage, but you don't die of the same lineage. Mountains function as mountains, oceans as oceans. You function in the messy human realm of delusion. And what a wonderful realm and terrible realm it can be. When you blink your eyes, this is the Buddha blinking his eyes. When the ocean waves crash, this is the Buddha blinking his eyes. This is brought out very clearly by someone in Dogen's lineage, one of our great teachers. Oh, I'd say he began teaching maybe 50 years, 60 years after Dogen, Keizan Zenji. And he also uses this language of eyebrows and eyes to make this very important point that our eyebrows are completely tangled up with the eyebrows of the Buddha, with the eyebrows of mountains and rivers, oceans and mountains. And the Keizan Zenji says, although the seasons change and the mountains, rivers, and the great earth are different over time, you should realize that because this is the old fellow Gautama raising his eyebrows and blinking his eyes, this is that body standing independently and openly within the myriad things. Independently and openly. Nothing hidden. No iron bull to be bitten. It's all hiding there in plain sight. And then he says, it becomes the whole body of each person standing like an 80,000 foot precipice in each. Therefore, do not think that from the past to the present, there was an eye's bright pupil and distinct pupil. Say that again. Do not think from the past to the present, there was an eye's bright pupil and a distinct pupil. There was an illuminated time and the ordinary 12 hours of the day. There are Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then there are ordinary beings like us. Don't think that. Do not think there was an eye's bright pupil and distinct people. The distinct people are nothing other than the eye's bright pupil. He says, you are the pupil of Gautama's eye. Gautama is the entirety of each one of you. So I think a marvelous thing about practicing in our households is we really can't believe too seriously in an iron bull to be realized, and that we're going to get a bite out of. I don't know about you, but after I finish this talk, I'm going to have to take the laundry off the line or it's going to be frozen. I'm going to have to fold it up or it's going to be wrinkled. There is no Buddha land outside the land of our houses, streets, neighborhoods, the lights of our own hometown. There is no 16-foot golden Buddha illuminating time that cannot be realized separately from the ordinary 12 hours of our day. So we have a wonderful chance here to do what Maezumi Roshi advised us to do, to appreciate our lives as the lives of Buddha.